Hey, happy Monday. I am Meredith. I am here with our message for July the 8th, 2024. We're using Lightseer's Tarot for our message today. Let's jump right in. Let's see what's going on with the cards. What do they have to offer us? The sun is in Cancer. The moon is in Leo. We've got some other planets in Leo. And of course, we have our lovely retrogrades going on too. Yay! How's it been for you all this past week? I know it's been a week since I put out a video. Yeah, so a lot's been going on. And I have a feeling that this reading in particular will bring some good insight to us. I almost feel like these cards are the ones that are coming off the bottom of the deck. Things that go on behind the scenes that we're not exactly aware of yet. I feel like these cards will stimulate a lot of aha in hindsight. So let's see what we got. Our first High Priestess. Well, there she is, Miss Subtle herself. You know, she's not she's not banging a drum to get our attention. This is the intuition that just rises up when you know, you know. And that's what I feel about her card today. Let's see what she connects to. Four of Swords. I love how this card is done in Lightseers. Anyone who starts to learn tarot begins to see the connection between the cards and how they communicate with one another, because in Lightseers you've got the heart from the Three of Swords in the nest with this person who's resting. Rest and relaxation for the spiritual warrior. And if you pulled three swords out of your heart space, you're going to need to recuperate a bit. And I like that the sleeping character in this card follows the High Priestess, because when they wake, they will know. So what are you asleep with? What are you resting on right now? What is your aha out of your own Three of Swords life experience? And go to the broad spectrum. Don't take the well-worn path into things that you think you know or the things that you have become comfortable knowing. There's a challenge to actually see some of the results of the healing that you've done in your Three of Swords to get you to a point where you can be in, neutral, suspended animation is what I feel here. And when you take that posture and you assign no blame, or you don't have any reason to connect to events that have unfolded that could have caused what you've been feeling, it opens you up to a whole new awareness. And I feel like that's what the High Priestess is bringing us, a whole new awareness. There's plenty for us to lean into that seems familiar, and I feel like we need to throw all that out. Whatever's familiar, let that go and choose to see things differently. Ask yourself new questions. How good can this get? What is the next step I can take to fulfill my highest and greatest potential? And obliterate your filters. Just take any filters that you have away. We're all taught to be so polite and so accommodating in culture and society. And I'm not saying be impolite, though. What's your real feeling? How do you really feel? What's the passion in what you want to share and how you want to express? And how does that come up against the way you were conditioned and or programmed along the way? Check it out for yourself. I have a friend. We've been friends for over 40 years now. She's amazing. It's her birthday today. Happy birthday, Catherine. Woo! She's one of a very few people who can tell it to me like it is, and I never get offended. Now, that happens with other people easily. I got a couple other real gems in my life too who are pure, raw, passionate, very well expressed people. And they're awesome at pointing out my programming, which I deeply, deeply appreciate. It's something we all do for one another in our little tribe of wonderful friends and soulmates. So, who are those people in your life? And what are you sharing with them right now? Because my feeling here is that I'm passionate about this right now. I got a lot of fire in my heart space for this. There's a lot to be said in an unfiltered way that doesn't have to be cleaned up and polished. And, there's no fear of offending someone by being real, right? So where can you do more of that? Challenge yourself with that, because there's a richness that is emerging, that's breaking through the surface. And, we want to live right out loud, don't we? And then we're introduced to our own filters that have been put in place by the way we've been taught to behave and, be respectful. Again, I'm not suggesting you are not respectful. At what point, though, are you disrespecting yourself by not being real, true, and raw because you've got a filter in place that was programmed to be there? F that. Throw it out. All right. Yeah, look at this, because 6 of Wands, victory, success, homecoming to your own heart space, fertility, right smack in the middle of the reading. It's here to encourage us all to invest in our vibrancy and our fertility, everything that makes us so wonderfully, uniquely ourselves. Do not pasteurize and homogenize that. Come out of your shell, break free, follow your intuition, even if it's coming to you in hindsight, even if you feel like you're 3 days behind the information, does not matter. As long as this is coming up and you've been in quiet contemplation with your own self and your thoughts and challenging them, it'll allow you to show up in this kind of posture like, yeah, heck yeah. All right. Then we have justice. See, this is just a balancing of the scales for ourselves. I love that justice is holding the Ace of Swords. And, we've got brilliant clarity, everlasting strength and truth in that sword. And we've got a set of scales balanced on it. And they're nice and even. Question here is your heart as light as a feather? And if it's not, what do you need to do about that? What steps need to be taken? What healing has to occur? Where do you hold yourself back through programming and external perception of expectation? Pull away any external expectations of your behavior. Tear that filter off. Who are you really? And how can you live peaceably in the truth of who you are and just simply be with a heart that's as light as a feather, successful, vibrant, fertile, reinvesting your energy in what fires up your motivation and drive? Next, yeah, sweet. 8 of Wands. This is how energy gets woven together. All 8 speak to momentum. Things are in motion. Things are moving. Now, we do have Saturn retrograde. I think it's in Pisces, retrograding in Pisces, which is fascinating. And, when I knew this was coming on, I have a lot of Pisces in my chart, which is lovely, though it can influence a wishy-washy nature with me. I'll be non-committal about things. And my feeling when Saturn, the taskmaster, the really tough, linear, go get it done type of planet bears down on us, sometimes we freak out under that pressure. So my feeling was Saturn moving into Pisces was going to take some of the sharp edges off of Saturn. Well, surprise, surprise. That did not happen for me. As a matter of fact, I fell completely emotionally apart in that energy as it deepened, as it expanded. It was shocking. But what was awesome about that is that I got to see some things that I really needed to see and challenge, and I'm still doing it. So how are you doing that? How are you weaving the web of your life in this Eight of Wands by challenging your own program? What's going on there? And, how does the retrograde energy serve you right now to balance your scales, to make your heart, to grow your heart as light as a feather? It's a big deal. Your inner guidance system, High Priestess, is there to support you in the journey. So be unafraid of facing whatever the retrograde energies are stirring up for you. And, by the way, what an interesting combo, because we've got fire and water here with Cancer and Leo together in the sun and the moon. And what's fascinating about that is that Cancer would lend itself so much more to the moon energy, and Leo would lend itself so much more to the sun's energy. So we've got the fire in the water and vice versa. So it's amazing. How is your passion being ignited right now? It's going to be different, and it's going to move you on a very deep and intuitive level. And I sense it's going to inspire all of us to take a step in the direction of our heart's truth, our soulful presence. What's it feel like when you take the gloves off with yourself? Ooh. And then, oh, look at that, 2 of Cups. Almost like the scales of justice, right? But this is an inner unity. This is, being strengthened within self-relationship. The bond to self-relationship is huge. And in that bond there, being, not impacted by the program, what happens then? There's great union in this card. A great harmony of divine feminine and divine masculine energy coming together to co-create and then to weave this web here. Whoa. Show up in the way you desire to be met. How are you doing that? And how are you not doing that with your self-relationship? I swear to you, I promise, when you do that with you, you will be met in that way. What are you afraid of? It's a tough question to answer at times. I have to ask myself that too. What am I afraid of? My vulnerability? Not being accepted? At the depth in which I show up? Sure. However, to not live in that kind of fulfillment feels like a tragedy. And I feel like this reading is putting an end to that, because we've pulled the swords out of the heart here with the 4. And we're resting a bit. We're going to be maybe a little bit vulnerable, a little bit tender as we take our first steps without these swords. We probably got comfortable living with those, living with less than from a program, nurturing our own wounds. And what happens when you show up healing in a process of healing, harmonized, balanced in your divine feminine, masculine? Well, you create new worlds for yourself, and it's wildly uncomfortable, which is awesome, because that's the challenge, to not go back to a program that would have you living smaller than you are. All right, now let's see what's really going on the underside of the deck. Another 6 of Pentacles. Wow. Generosity, reciprocity. See, what you put out comes back to you. And if you are not vibrating at a frequency that satisfies your passion for life and your soulful presence, then steps and changes have to be taken and made. And there's the lovely Moon card. This is us rising from our own depths. It looks like she's sinking. I feel, though, that she's rising here. And the Moon shows us everything in a different spectrum of light. We get an opportunity to see things different. In the bright, brilliant clarity of the sun, sometimes we go sun blind, don't we? And then the moon with its shadowy illumination, shows us nuances that are super important to our success and fulfillment. Then we have the Ten of Wands. We have all the resource we could possibly require. That's the Ace of Wands to the power of 10 right there. That's amazing. Think of the Ace of Wands and all of its gorgeous messages: fertility, vibrancy, motivation, engaging our skill and our talent. All of that's here. We have more than enough to take action on what we're sort of resting and resting on here in the Four of Swords. Our intuition is inspiring us to make a successful move. We don't even really have to think about that, because we'll surprise ourselves when we decide what direction we're going in, and then we're met with all the resources. Ooh, that's awesome. Then we have Eight of Cups. Not surprised to see that. Another beautiful 8 showing up for us. And this one is connected to eclipse energy. So again, this takes us back to eclipse season and how we are enjoying the journey thus far. You know, we made a choice on the 7 of Cups. In the 8 of Cups, we're in transition. We're moving into the 9 of Cups, where dreams come true and wishes are fulfilled. And isn't that just the way here, right? This is exactly what we're talking about in the first part of the reading. And sometimes we have to abandon, not sometimes, we always have to abandon the program to get where we want to go. And then we have, oh, the lovely 4 of Cups. Sweet. Gifts, surprises. I know this card is spoken over in terms of being somewhat apathetic. If you're apathetic at all, it's with the program. You have a sense of apathy for it because it doesn't necessarily work for you. We're being called out here. We're being challenged by the cards and called into our soulful presence. What would you do then? What would you do then if you could tear off all the limits and see yourself as an unlimited, magnificent, soulful being? What would you do then? Great question, right? How are you going to answer that? I'd love to hear some of your answers. Angel answers. Yes, I will go back to the mini deck of answering specific questions. That won't happen today, but I will bring it back. Angel answers. We've got reconsider. Perfect card. Yes, this is all about reconsidering how we show up, what we're going to do, the actions we'll take. Reconsider and recovery. That's what's happening on that 4 of Swords, recovery. And it's inspiring reconsideration, though that's coming through intuition. Then we have the emphatic yes. Yes. Just say yes. One more. Seriously, this card. It loves us. Big, happy changes. Say yes to your big, happy changes. And be motivated to make the changes. Final word on the reading from angels and ancestors. How is our soulful presence informing our waking consciousness? Sweet. We have the White Witch. Be the light. You are the light. You were born a light. Live your enlightenment. All right. Have a beautiful Monday, everybody. Peace, love, joy, happiness. Yeah. Namaste.